Good morning and evening to everyone wherever you may be. I hope you're having a great day. Hit the thumbs up button to let me know if you're interested in more videos like this. So let's get started. Yale University is a private Ivy League university in New Haven, Connecticut. It is the third oldest institute for higher education in the United States and among one of the most prestigious in the world. The university was founded in 1701. The campus is 373 acres. Many of the buildings on Yale campus are Gothic-style architecture, and many have gargoyles and stone carvings on them. In this video, we're going to focus on some of the stone carvings and their history around the campus. Michael Stern grew up and had lived his whole life in New Haven, Connecticut, and frequented Yale campus. One day, he was walking around and happened to look up. That's when he noticed a strange statue on the law building. It was the statue of a man with a donkey's head. This statue was on the back of the law building, which Stern found odd, as not many people walked this way. Most entered through the main entrance at the front of the building. Why would all of these carvings be done on the back of a building rather than on the front for all to see? As he kept looking, he found more carvings on the back of the building. All had the bodies of men and heads of animals. He found a parrot, wolf, owl, bulldog, and of course, the donkey. From there, he decided to keep looking up at the buildings to see what else he could see. Carvings were spread over the whole campus, and they were fascinating to him. So he decided to try and research them and find out any information he could. He found nearly 200 stone carvings across the campus. Finding information on the carvings proved to be nearly impossible. He asked around the university, talked to professors, looked for books about it, researched the Yale Library archives, but he simply could not find any information on them. The only information he found was the name of an architect. Through learning about the architect, he was able to piece the history of some of the statues and carvings together. He talked to several friends about it, and they were just as intrigued as he was, and told him that maybe he should write a book about the carvings. Stern wasn't sure about the idea at first, as he had been a copywriter his entire life, not an author. He soon decided that he would go ahead and write a book about it. The book was published and is called Yale's Hidden Treasures. James Gamble Rogers was the architect that designed the statues and carvings. He was a Yale graduate in 1894, and he was later hired by the university to do these carvings. Rogers had a stoic but comical personality, which shows in much of his work. Rogers did the carvings on 16 of the Gothic-style buildings on campus. The carvings were all done between 1917 to 1935. For 18 years, he dedicated his work here. The sculptor on the project was Rene Paul Chamblin. He was a well-known American sculptor who specialized in architectural sculpting. Rogers would come up with a design for the carvings, then Chamblin would make a 3D type sketch of the drawings for the stonecutters to use. The stonecutters were the men who made Rogers' drawings come to life. Most of the cutters came from Europe, mainly Italy, but a few were from Germany and Greece. Gothic style was not a common style in the United States at the time, but was in Europe. All of the stone used came from North Carolina. Okay, before we get started talking about stone carvings, let's talk about the gargoyles on campus for a minute first. Rogers would always get highly offended if his carvings were called gargoyles. Each of his stone carvings had a meaning or story behind it. As a rule, there is no meaning behind a gargoyle. There are two main reasons that they are used. Gargoyles come from the word gargle, which is why you see them used as waterspouts on buildings. The second reason they were used was to scare away evil spirits. Rogers created no gargoyles that are on the campus. They were all created way before his time in the 1700s. Finally, let's get on to the carvings. All of the carvings done by Rogers were between 3 and 6 feet tall. Both of these carvings are located on the Sterling Law Building. The first one is called the Executioner. The Executioner is a representation of the judicial system. During the time that his carvings were done, people were still able to be beheaded for a crime. The second carving is called the Judge and Jester. This carving depicts a lawyer or businessman paying off a judge in order to persuade them to turn a blind eye to a crime, hence the blindfold. These next 3 carvings were dedicated to 3 different workers. The first is called Chef. He was a construction worker on the project. Next is the Mule Rider. This was one of Rogers' favorite carvings. There was a construction worker that would come to work every day, and he would ride his mule to work and tie him up. When it was time to leave for work, he would ride his mule home. The third one is of a painter that worked with him as well, who they had nicknamed Art, as his name was hard for many to pronounce correctly. There are 5 main statues on the roof of the law building. They had a storyline all of their own. The bulldog, which is the school mascot, the donkey, and the owl are pictured here. The other 2 I was not able to find pictures of, unfortunately. The donkey, also known as the fool, was always getting into trouble with the law for petty things, and he would run to his friend the bulldog, who is a lawyer, to try and help him. The owl is said to be the judge because owls are symbolisms of wisdom. The parrot and the wolf were also clients of the bulldog. These next 2 sit right across from each other. They are simply known as the Puritan brothers. They are said to be a representation of 2 brothers that attended the university. One shows a brother working hard on his studies and dedicating his time. The other is known as the slacker. He was always drunk and falling asleep in class. These are the last 2 of the many stone carvings at Yale that I'm going to talk about. The first is the Gumshoe Detective. He is also located on the law building, and his story is another representation of how the judicial system works. The man in the statue is a detective, and he has gum on his shoes, which represents the sticky situations that one can get themselves into when dealing with the court systems. The second is personally my favorite of all the carvings I've seen so far. This one is called The Devil and the Scholar. It is located on Davenport College and is 15 feet from the master's room window. You would think there would be a grand story behind this powerful carving, but Rogers never could find out the true meaning of this one, but he did his best to depict what he thought it would mean. The school was founded by 9 ministers, so he thought that maybe this represented the religion/education conflicts that come with all schools. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. We have an upcoming live soon. We're not really sure what time we're going to do it or what day we're going to do it, but it's going to be about unusual churches around the world. And another pre-recorded video that we're working on is Elmer McCurdy. If you don't know who he is, you definitely want to look it up. It's a strange case. But until then, see you guys next time.